Hi everyone, welcome to session 2B. We'll be talking about online resources for this PowerPoint video. This is one of my favorite sessions because it's sort of like for me showing my favorite fishing holes, and here we go. I'm guessing you're pretty familiar with this website, Transforming Chaplaincy. If you're relatively new to chaplaincy or relatively new to research literacy, this is a great place to start, especially want to note the resources for the getting started. So I'm guessing that you've already done some work with this website, but in case you refer others to it or want to dig back to it, there it is. If you're not familiar with ACPE research and the name of John Amen, he's connected to University of Pennsylvania, where he works there in their pastoral care department. The two things I want to mention about John Amen are that he does this article of the month, which is a nice summary of the methods, the analysis of the article, but a sort of sense of what does the article mean for all things chaplaincy and religion, spirituality, whatever it is covering. And then additionally, he once a year will do a kind of a summary of articles that are also related to chaplaincy and religion and spirituality. And he'll kind of put that together. So if you're somebody who likes to look at a list and to see what's out there, I think the list has grown every year, thankfully, because the research has been maybe burgeoning isn't the right word, but it's been expanding. So you can see that in his when you find like his archive that expansion has been happening. So John Amen, tipping our hats to him, and he was very pleased when I told him that we were utilizing his website and his resources for this course. The heart of this presentation, however, is this slide, and PubMed.gov, especially if you are in healthcare in any sort of way along that continuum, whether it's acute care or more of a long-term care facility, this is the place that I would recommend you go. There are videos that are mentioned throughout this presentation. This is one of them. I plan to post them to the Moodle site so that you can access them as well. They're intentionally very brief. So I just wanted to give you kind of a rundown of what this looks like by going to the internet of the company for whom I receive a paycheck. So Fairview is connected to University of Minnesota Health, which is the branding name of the company that I work for. So like perhaps many of your internets, you have a place for quick links, and among them is the Fairview Medical Library for me. And as you can see, I like these words, your medical information gateway. Just want to show you some of the options that are available. I want to show you that down here is PubMed at Fairview. The reason that is because when I click on that, Fairview, of course, pays licensing fees to these different publishers that allow them to get these articles for free. So whereas if you went to the website on your own, you might have to pay $30 for a particular article, whereas on this place, you can get it for free. Just want to mention a couple other databases. The SynHall database is a nursing-based one that I've used in the past. If you're in behavioral health, I can imagine these are important to look at. I've not done that personally. We're going to mention Google Scholar, the upsides and the downsides with that. But then I also want to show you that perhaps on your website, went the wrong direction, is a place that you could look through the journals that are available, that you can actually, almost like a magazine, see what's out there and go literally, volume by volume. You can also, through my system, request an article or book. So if there's something that I just can't find, but it's, it's out there, I can just request it, and it might take a couple of days, but they usually get it for me, they being the medical librarians. And then you can also request a literature search, and that's sort of what we're asking you to do for sessions 3 as you build into session 4 of this Research Literacy 101. And it's asking you to kind of narrow down a topic of interest to you in the field in which that you are more specialized in. So, you might pick something like congestive heart failure and a certain population of, like, let's say, African-American women, and you want to look at people ages 45 and above, and is the religion, spirituality variable an important component of that? And you can put all that into a request to a a librarian, and he or she can maybe track some stuff down or related kinds of articles. So I want to mention that to you. And I also, we're going to go back here to just kind of use this as an example to show you what it looks like in real time. So we're going to click on this, and it looks like it takes me to PubMed. And the PowerPoint slide that I had has this article on it. It's a classic. I don't think these are the exact words, but it'll get us there. So this is the spirituality white paper, at least the US or North American version, and you can see it comes up right here. So I just wanted to show you that you can throw a bunch of search words in, even if you don't remember the exact title, and it pulls it up, tells you the authors, the publishers, where's the lead author from. Then off to the right here, it tells me, oh, this is the publisher of the Journal of Palliative Medicine. If I click on this, I'll be taken to the website directly, and I'll have to pay for the article. If I click on this, I get the article for free. Similar to other kinds of resources like Google and Amazon, when you click on something, of course, there's all the related content. So here's some related articles that you could find. Again, this perhaps is helpful for the session 3 article search that we're asking you to do. So that's PubMed. I wanted to show that to you. Take you back to the PowerPoint here as we, oops, that was the wrong thing to move. All right. So the next slide is, I mentioned medical librarians, and one of the anecdotal feedback pieces that we've received from past Research Literacy 101 participants was that they so appreciated the reminder that if they're in a healthcare setting, they probably have a medical librarian. So befriend them, partner with them, and utilize their depth of knowledge. For that purpose of a literature search, there's still some literature searches today where I'm just kind of curious, is there any information out there? So for me, sometimes it feels like I'm a cow looking at a new gate, and my mom grew up on a farm, so sometimes I would hear those more agrarian-based terms. I just want to point out to you that I'm going to post a couple of these videos. One is an introduction to literature searching, and then one is the use of things called mesh terms. So as you might imagine, that the PubMed.gov and related databases have kind of their own codified language. If you are somebody that likes to know the details of the details and want to know how to best search in an environment like that, that's your video, which I'm confident can lead to other information should you want to desire it further. But if you want to be very precise in your literature search, you can do that. Now, this is a website that I highly recommend that you bookmark yourself, as I have, and I want to take you to that website. So when I was finishing my recent degree, I had a teaching assistant and who was getting her PhD. When she got her undergraduate at Boston University, she had mentioned that this was such a really good site, and I can attest to it. I love it. It's an elegantly designed site. It's written extremely well, simple, accessible, but it does not dumb down. So I'm going to show you this as we scroll down the page here. These are the categories that you can look for. So the MPH, if you don't know what that means, is a Master's in Public Health. And among that is this big study of epidemiology, which is actually what George Fichet's PhD is in, and it's the study of population with disease. So just the thing to remember about it is it's more or less the study of populations. And here are some really important topics to look for. When you are doing your article reviews, you'll come across some of these terms. And we're going to cover things in session 3 like cohort studies and case control studies, but because of time, we're just going to be touching on them, or things about bias or confounding. But I want to mention to you in particular measures of association, because oftentimes people want to receive information in the framework of odds ratios or risk ratios. So let's use the example of odds ratios. If, like a classic one is that people who smoke are 4 times more likely to develop lung cancer than somebody who doesn't smoke. The way that you get that information is by doing an odds ratio. And it's a quick easy way of communicating information that people sort of digest and understand quickly. And that's some of the power of using a quantifiable research method, because it can do that. Whereas I love qualitative literature, but you got to read through it, and they're not the nice nuggets of information that just capture a picture in one quick kind of a few words. So heading back to our PowerPoint, but again, that website, I recommend it to you as you are going through articles, as you are doing your future research literacy, or if you're ever somebody who wants to do future research. This is, like I say, it's my epidemiology go-to. The last thing I want to mention is not the last thing. I'm going to go to say one more thing. I mentioned I was going to talk about Google Scholar. Google is it's just out there. I know that if you're not familiar with Google Scholar, there it is, scholar.google.com. The medical librarians that I worked with had said they will occasionally go to Google Scholar, but what they don't like about it is Google is not transparent about how they get their information or how they put it out there. Whereas a PubMed.gov or some of the other related databases are very open about that. So the thing that's important about this, there's a couple of things. I'm going to show you some tools. If you haven't already, I'm going to look up the same article that we just did related to that palliative spirituality white paper. And here it comes up. So it looks like you can get this article for free on this PDF here off to the right. But that's not necessarily always the case. Sometimes I've clicked on these, it'll take you to like a table of contents if it's a book or a nice introduction. And that's the whole thing. This isn't a academically vetted resource like a PubMed is. I want to show you these quotation marks. As you are putting together, for example, your journal club for session 5, this is a really nice, easy way to just quickly look up a citation, which we're going to cover citations in just a moment. But I like American Psychological Format. For the purpose of the journal club, it doesn't matter to me if you use MLA or Chicago, but I like APA because I find it to be pretty much the standard personally. So you can just drop that in there. I would double check because I have found some citations to not be precise. So buyer beware on that. One of the things I do like about this is how much other people have used this article. In my academic institution, if you get cited 1,000 times, they put your name on a big bronze plaque and put it up on the wall. So this article is a pretty significant heavyweight in that field. Now, the other thing I want to mention is if you are looking, you have an article that you're interested in, that you really like, and you want to find a couple more articles related to session 3. A nice, easy way to do that is click on this related articles, and it's going to show you some other articles that are related to it. So it's got its powerful resource capability. So I'm not totally down and out on Google Scholar, but just want to caution, as I mentioned, those areas concerning transparency. So I mentioned citations, and that's where we're going to end our session today. This is a website, this Purdue Online Writing Lab, that over the years I have found to be the most accessible about how to look up anything. Like I may have had a book where, how do I, for example, write up 3 contributing authors on an edited volume, and it's in its 3rd edition. This will tell you that. I'll just give you a quick example of that. And here we are at this Purdue Writing Lab website, because it will help you do how you do the citation inside the text of if you're writing a paper, as well as how you can look things up on the reference list. So that's what I've got today. Everybody, thanks for, again, being a part of this. We are almost halfway to our point of our course. Questions, dialogue, always welcome. Thank you.